The Ed Sullivan Theater in New York City is buzzing with excitement for another night of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. The audience expects laughs, witty banter, and a charming celebrity guest. But what they got instead was a seismic clash that would go down as one of the most explosive moments in talk show history. William Shatner, the 94-year-old Star Trek legend, cultural titan, and unapologetic trailblazer, walked onto that stage expecting a warm spotlight. Instead, he stepped into a carefully laid trap. What began as a routine interview spiraled into a fiery confrontation that left jaws on the floor, the internet ablaze, and one man utterly speechless. This is the full, unfiltered story of the night William Shatner lost it on Stephen Colbert's show, a moment that redefined a legend and shook late-night television to its core. Buckle up, because this is a story you won't forget. Fade in. The vibrant Late Show set, bathed in blue and gold lights, pulses with energy. The audience roars as Stephen Colbert, in a sharp suit, strides out for his monologue, his trademark grin in place. It's a crisp fall evening in New York City, September 2025, and the Ed Sullivan Theater is alive with anticipation. Stephen Colbert, the quick-witted king of late-night satire, is in top form, delivering his signature blend of political jabs, pop culture quips, and just a hint of mischief. Tonight's guest, none other than William Shatner, Captain Kirk himself. The 94-year-old icon, whose new memoir, To Boldly Go Again, promises a deep dive into his 7-decade career. The crowd is buzzing, expecting a nostalgic celebration of a living legend. But backstage, the mood is different. Shatner's team is on edge, sensing something off. They'd been promised a friendly, promotional chat about the memoir, a reflection on Star Trek, his life, and his enduring legacy. But whispers from Colbert's producers suggested a different plan. Stephen wanted to push boundaries, to challenge Shatner's carefully curated public image. Was he the quirky, beloved icon fans adored, or a calculated showman chasing relevance in a digital age? Tonight, Colbert was ready to find out. Cut to Colbert at his desk mid-monologue, his eyes gleaming with playful intent. Folks, we are in for a treat tonight. We've got a legend in the house, William Shatner, Captain Kirk, the man who boldly went where no man has gone before, and also apparently where no 94-year-old has gone before, X, NFTs, and those unforgettable Priceline commercials. His new book, To Boldly Go Again, just hit shelves, and let me tell you, it's as bold as his Twitter feed. Give it up for William Shatner. Audience erupts in cheers. Camera pans to excited faces, some holding Star Trek memorabilia, others whispering eagerly. The audience is eating it up, laughing at Colbert's jabs, but they're oblivious to the storm brewing. Sources close to the production later revealed that Colbert and his team had spent days crafting questions designed to provoke. They wanted to peel back the layers of Shatner's larger-than-life persona, to question whether he was still the inspiring figure of Star Trek lore or a relic trying to stay relevant with viral tweets and quirky ventures. It was a risky move, but Colbert thrived on risk, or so he thought. Cut to Shatner stepping onto the stage. The crowd leaps to its feet, roaring with applause. At 94, he's a vision of timeless charisma, tailored blazer, crisp white shirt, and that unmistakable swagger. He waves graciously, flashes a warm smile, and settles into the guest chair opposite Colbert. Stephen Colbert, excited. William Shatner, everybody, enthusiastic. Welcome to The Late Show. My goodness, Bill, you look incredible. What's the secret to being this vibrant at 94? Is it Klingon yoga? A deal with the Ferengi? Spill the beans. William Shatner, chuckling, pausing for effect, his voice rich and deliberate. Well, Stephen, it's a blend of good genes, a pinch of stubbornness, and a whole lot of curiosity. I've always believed life is about exploration, whether it's space, a new project, or just a good conversation, and maybe a little stardust from that Blue Origin flight doesn't hurt. Audience laughs warmly, clapping. Colbert leans forward, his smile friendly, but with a hint of challenge. Stephen Colbert, thoughtful. I love that. Exploration, curiosity, it's very Captain Kirk. Now your memoir, To Boldly Go, again, it's a love letter to your fans, a look back at an extraordinary career. You talk about reinventing yourself, staying in the game. But some folks out there, and I'm just quoting the internet here, say you've been chasing relevance for decades. The commercials, The X posts, the NFTs. They wonder if it's all a bit challenging, calculated. How do you respond to that? The audience shifts uncomfortably, a few murmurs rippling through. Shatner's smile tightens, but his composure holds, his eyes glinting with a mix of amusement and defiance. William Shatner, with a wry grin leaning back, wryly, chasing relevance. Confident, Stephen, I created relevance. Star Trek didn't just entertain, it changed the world. It inspired NASA, it shaped technology, it gave people hope. I've been relevant since before you were born, and I don't need to chase what I already own. The memoir's about that journey, staying curious, pushing boundaries, telling stories. NFTs, X, they're just new tools for an old storyteller. I'm not chasing, I'm leading. Audience claps enthusiastically, some cheering loudly. Colbert nods undeterred, flipping through Shatner's book with a theatrical flourish. Stephen Colbert, that's a great answer, Bill. But let's talk about the now. You're everywhere. Commercials, social media, that space flight with Blue Origin. Fans love the energy, but some say, is this still Captain Kirk, or is this William Shatner the brand? Are you still the guy who inspired generations, or is this a new act to keep the spotlight? The audience gasps softly, sensing the shift. Shatner leans back, crossing his arms, his eyes narrowing slightly, but his voice remains steady. William Shatner calmly, but with a sharp edge. Stephen, I've been in this business for 70 years. I've played heroes, villains, lawyers, even myself. A brand? I'm not a brand. I'm a man who's lived, loved, and dared to keep going. You think I'm acting? This is me. Unfiltered, unapologetic. I've never hidden who I am, and I'm not about to start now. Audience erupts in applause, some standing. Colbert smiles, but his eyes betray a flicker of unease as he presses forward. The stage is set, and the tension is already simmering. Colbert's probing, testing Shatner's patience, but the legend is holding his ground with the poise of a seasoned star. The audience is captivated, unaware that Colbert's next move will push this interview into uncharted territory, setting the stage for a confrontation no one saw coming. Close-up of Colbert, his smile now more calculated, his fingers tapping the desk as he leans toward Shatner. Stephen Colbert. Let's dive deeper into this memoir, Bill. It's a treasure trove of stories. Your rise to fame, your friendships, your rivalries. One name that comes up a lot is Leonard Nimoy. Mr. Spock, your co-star and friend. You two had a complicated relationship, didn't you? Can you share a bit about that? William Shatner, softening his voice warm and reflective. Leonard was more than a co-star, he was a brother. Star Trek was a crucible, and we forged something special in those years. We had our ups and downs, sure, like any family. There were moments of frustration, moments of joy, but the bond we had, the way we brought Kirk and Spock to life, that was real. I miss him every day, and the book is partly a tribute to him, to what we built together. Audience claps softly, touched by the sincerity. Colbert nods, but his expression shifts to something sharper, more probing. Stephen Colbert. That's beautiful, Bill, really. But you write about trying to make amends with Leonard before he passed in 2015. Some of his family, though, have spoken out publicly. They've said you didn't try hard enough to reconcile, that you used Leonard's name in your projects, books, speeches, documentaries, for clout after he was gone. That's a serious claim. How do you respond to it?
The studio falls deathly silent. A few gasps echo through the crowd. Shatner's jaw clenches, his eyes locking onto Colbert's with an intensity that could burn through a bulkhead. William Shatner. Slowly, his voice low and controlled but laced with fury. Stephen, that's a low blow, and you know it. Leonard and I had private moments, conversations, apologies, things the public will never know. His family's grief is theirs, and I respect it deeply, but to suggest I exploited his name? That's not just wrong, it's cruel. I honored Leonard in life, and I honor him now. Every mention of him in my work comes from love, from respect, from a shared legacy. You want to drag that through the mud for ratings? That's your call, but it's a cheap one. Audience murmurs, a mix of gasps and supportive claps. Colbert raises his hands, playing innocent, but his smirk betrays his intent. Stephen Colbert.
I hear you, Bill, and I'm just relaying what's out there, no offense meant. Let's pivot to your public persona. You've built this larger-than-life image, the Shatner mystique. The spoken word albums, the quirky commercials, the unforgettable X presence. Some call it genius. a masterclass in staying relevant. Others say it's inauthentic, like you're playing a caricature of yourself. So tell us, is William Shatner the real deal? Or is this all a performance for the spotlight?
The audience gasps louder, the tension now thick enough to choke on. Shatner leans forward, his voice drops.
Stephen Colbert. Okay, Bill, you're bringing the phasers. Let's talk about your ex-presence. You're vocal on social issues, climate change, politics, woke culture. That post last month about cancel culture run amok got a lot of heat. Critics called you out of touch, saying you're stirring the pot to stay in the headlines. How do you handle that kind of backlash? Is it just part of the game? William Shatner, smirking slightly, but his eyes are ice cold. Out of touch. I'm 94 years old, Stephen. I've lived through wars, civil rights battles, the birth of the internet. I've seen the world change in ways you can't imagine. I speak my mind because I've earned the right to, through decades of work, risk, and resilience. If people don't like it, they can scroll past or argue back. I'm not here to please everyone. I'm here to be honest. You, though, you mock people night after night for laughs, for ratings. Is that your idea of touching the world, or just playing it safe? The audience gasps, then claps. A mix of cheers and nervous murmurs. Colbert's smile falters, his hands gripping the desk as he tries to steer the conversation. Stephen Colbert. Whoa, Bill, let's keep this civil. I'm just asking the questions people are talking about. Your ex-posts get attention. That woke culture tweet racked up 1 million views. You knew it'd go viral, didn't you? That's the game, right? William Shatner. Voice rising, cutting through like a photon torpedo. You're crossing a line, Stephen. I don't post for views. I post what I believe, what I've lived. You want to talk about playing the game? Look in the mirror. You bait guests, you push buttons, all for your precious clicks and ad revenue. Don't lecture me about integrity when you're orchestrating a circus for the cheap seats. The studio goes dead silent, the weight of Shatner's words sinking in. Colbert's face reddens, his composure cracking like a hull breach. The audience holds its breath, sensing a turning point. This is where the interview shifts from tense to downright explosive. Shatner isn't just defending himself, he's turning the tables, dismantling Colbert's carefully crafted persona in front of a live audience and millions watching at home. The host is on the ropes, and the Star Trek legend is about to deliver a blow that will echo through television history. Wide shot of the set, the audience visibly tense, eyes darting between Shatner and Colbert. The host tries to laugh it off, but his voice betrays his nerves, cracking slightly. Stephen Colbert. Bill, you're stealing the show here. I'm just doing my job, asking the tough questions. You're a legend, a big boy. You can handle a little heat, right? William Shatner, leaning forward, his voice like tempered steel. Your job? Your job is to entertain, Stephen, not to ambush. You invited me here under false pretenses, promising a chat about my book, my life. Instead, you've thrown every cheap shot you could muster. My friendships, my career, my integrity. You wanted a spectacle, a viral moment to boost your numbers. Well, congratulations, you've got one. But be careful what you wish for, because I don't back down. Audience gasps, then erupts in applause, some standing in solidarity. Colbert tries to pivot, his hands fidgeting with his notes. William Shatner continue. You want to talk authenticity? Let's talk about you. You sit behind this desk, playing the relatable everyman, the voice of the people. But it's an act, isn't it? You're a performer just like me, crafting a persona for the cameras. The difference is I own who I am. Every quirk, every risk, every tweet. You hide behind your jokes, your applause sign, and call it truth. Who's the caricature now, Stephen? The audience roars, a mix of cheers and shocked murmurs. Colbert's face flushes, his hands trembling as he grips the desk, his usual charm replaced by raw vulnerability. Stephen Colbert. That's a bit harsh, Bill. I'm not the one selling spaceflight tickets to billionaires while preaching about boldly going. You're a legend, no question, but don't act like you're above scrutiny. This is a talk show, not a shrine to William Shatner. William Shatner, standing now, his voice booming, commanding the room like a starship bridge. Scrutiny? This isn't scrutiny, it's a witch hunt. You've spent this entire interview trying to paint me as some desperate has-been, clawing for relevance. But let me tell you something, Stephen. I've faced critics tougher than you my entire life. Producers, reviewers, fans, you name it, and I'm still standing. Why? Because I'm not afraid of the truth. I've lived it, fought for it, earned it. I went to space at 90, not for headlines, but because I believe in pushing boundaries. Can you look me in the eye and say you've taken risk like that? The audience leaps to its feet, cheering thunderously, the room shaking with energy. Colbert stares, mouth agape, struggling to find words. The band plays a nervous riff, but it's drowned out by the crowd's roar. Stephen Colbert forcing a chuckle, voice cracking. Okay, Bill, you're giving me a masterclass in intensity here. Let's cool things down, maybe talk about something lighter. Your space flight, maybe? That was historic, incredible. William Shatner, still standing, unrelenting. No, Stephen, you started this fire. Don't try to douse it now. You've questioned everything, my friendships, my social media, my legacy. So let me ask you something. When's the last time you took a real risk? Not a scripted jab, not a safe quip for your audience's applause. When's the last time you stood for something, knowing it could cost you everything? Your show, your reputation, your comfort? Because I've done that my whole life. Can you say the same? The studio is silent, the weight of Shatner's words hanging heavy. Colbert stares, speechless, his eyes darting to the audience, then back to Shatner. The crowd is frozen, sensing a historic moment unfolding. This is it, the moment that will define this night. William Shatner has flipped the script, exposing Colbert's vulnerabilities in front of millions. The host is cornered, his carefully curated image crumbling like a breached hull. What happens next will cement this confrontation as a legend in its own right. Close up on Colbert, sweat beading on his forehead, his usual confidence replaced by raw, visible discomfort. He tries to recover, but his voice is unsteady, betraying his nerves. Bill, I respect you truly. This got heated and maybe I pushed too hard. I'm sorry if it felt like an ambush. Can we reset, talk about something else, maybe your space flight? That was a monumental moment, right? Sitting back down, but still commanding the stage, his voice steady and powerful. Don't backpedal now, Stephen. You wanted real? Here's real. I went to space at 90 because I believe in exploration, in daring to do what others won't. I've lived my life unafraid of failure, of criticism, of people like you trying to tear me down. I've taken risks you can't fathom, starring in a show no one believed in, reinventing myself when the world wrote me off, speaking my truth when it wasn't popular. I've earned every scar, every triumph. Can you look me in the eye and say you've lived with that kind of courage? Audience claps, many standing, their applause swelling into a roar. Colbert nods slowly, swallowing hard, his bravado completely gone. Quietly, almost whispering, "You're right, Bill, I haven't. Not like you. You've lived a life most of us can only dream of, taken risks I can't imagine. I got carried away tonight and I'm sorry, truly. You're a legend for a reason." The audience gasps, then claps softly, a mix of awe and respect rippling through the room. Shatner nods, his expression softening slightly, but his presence remains commanding. Apology accepted, Stephen. But let this be a lesson. Don't come for a legend unless you're ready to face one. I've been through too much, seen too much to be rattled by a few cheap shots. Next time, try asking about the book. It's a good read. Audience bursts into a standing ovation, the theater shaking with applause. Colbert forces a weak smile, clearly humbled, his hands still gripping the desk. The band plays a triumphant fanfare as the show cuts to commercial. In that moment, William Shatner didn't just win an argument, he redefined his legacy. Stephen Colbert, stripped of his armor, had no choice but to concede, humbled on his own stage. But the fallout from this night was only beginning. As the world watched in a montage of X posts, YouTube clips, and news headlines, Shatner annihilates Colbert in epic showdown. Colbert left speechless after Shatner's takedown. William Shatner proves he's unbreakable at 94. Viral clips rack up tens of millions of views, with fans memeing Shatner's "Don't come for a legend" line into oblivion. The internet exploded like a supernova. Within hours, Shatner's takedown was everywhere. X, YouTube, TikTok, even global news outlets. Hashtags like Shatner v. Colbert, Captain Kirk forever, and Don't Mess with Bill trended worldwide, with fans hailing Shatner as a hero for his unyielding defense of his legacy. Comment sections overflowed with praise. Shatner still got it. Colbert got schooled. Critics were divided. Some called it a masterclass in accountability. Others argued Shatner was too harsh. Stephen issued a brief statement on X. "I pushed too hard. And Bill reminded me why he's a legend. Respect. But the damage was done. The Late Show's ratings dipped in the weeks that followed, with viewers calling Colbert's ambush tasteless and unprofessional. Cut to Shatner at a fan convention, mobbed by adoring fans chanting, "Kirk, Kirk." He signs copies of To Boldly Go Again, now a runaway bestseller, with a knowing, confident smile. For William Shatner, this wasn't just a viral moment. It was a triumph of epic proportions. At 94, he proved he's still got the fire, the wit, and the heart to take on anyone who dares challenge his legacy. His memoir soared to the top of bestseller lists, selling out in bookstores worldwide. His following swelled by hundreds of thousands, with fans young and old celebrating his unapologetic authenticity. As for Stephen Colbert, he's back to hosting. But insiders say he's been more cautious with guests, wary of sparking another Shatner-level clapback. The night of September 2025 didn't just shake the Ed Sullivan Theater. It shook the cultural zeitgeist, reminding the world that William Shatner is no mere celebrity. He's a force of nature, a pioneer, a legend who refuses to fade. Slow zoom on a black and white photo of Shatner as young Captain Kirk, fading into a recent image of him, still radiating strength and charisma at 94. This wasn't just a talk show meltdown. It was a testament to resilience, courage, and authenticity. William Shatner didn't just survive Stephen Colbert's ambush. He turned it into a masterclass in standing tall, speaking truth, and owning your legacy. At 94, he's not just a legend. He's untouchable, a star that burns brighter than ever. Upbeat, triumphant music kicks in. A montage flashes through Shatner's iconic roles: Kirk, T.J. Hooker, Denny Crane, blending seamlessly with clips of the Colbert Showdown. The narrator's logo glows on screen, pulsing with energy. What did you think of this legendary throwdown? Was William Shatner justified in shutting Stephen Colbert down? Or did the host cross a line that deserved a response? Drop your hottest takes in the comments below. We're reading every single one, and we want to hear your thoughts. If you love this deep dive into one of the most iconic moments in TV history, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another epic breakdown. We've got more drama, more stories, and more unforgettable moments coming your way. Until next time, stay bold, stay real, and whatever you do, don't mess with Captain Kirk.